Hey everyone, Meteorologist Emery here in the Fox 19 First Alert Streaming Center on our Tuesday edition of our 19 at noon weather show, available wherever you stream. And we've got some scattered light showers here across the Fox 19 Now viewing area. Nothing that's significant, nothing that is going to create any kind of big issues, but enough to dampen the roadways and sidewalks here this early afternoon. And I want to remind you too, again, we're live wherever you stream. If you have any questions or comments, please join us on the Facebook pages of both Fox 19 as well as my Facebook page at Emery WX. I'll monitor both throughout this stream. That way we can answer any kind of questions or comments you may have. But let's go ahead and get things started because we are looking at, again, some of those scattered showers here in and around the tri-state area. We'll begin by looking at some of our cameras here because some of the cameras have been showing those raindrops coming down while others have been dry. Especially if you look to the north, things are a bit drier. You can see some of these clouds are, ooh, that was really cool. I don't know if you saw that or not, but you probably didn't. I was in the way. But a plane was beginning to get close to landing at CVG and disappeared through the clouds because there's lower clouds here further off to the south. But here to the north and northwest, you got those clouds a little bit higher up, some of that drier air, cooler air off to the north. Looking at our Newport Levee camera here, again, cloudy skies out there, keeping things overcast. Switching over to our Turfway Park view, again, some lower clouds there. In fact, that very same plane may very well show up here on the Turfway Park camera. In fact, I'll leave it up for a minute or two, that way we can potentially see it. But I do want to show you the temperature at least. Right now it is 43 degrees. So in the last 3 hours, we've increased just 1 degree here in Cincinnati. Some locations are still in the 30s, especially over towards Pendleton County. The Falmouth airport there only had, I think, 37 the last hour. It's probably up to 38 or 39 now, but nonetheless, it is a chilly midday, early afternoon here in the Fox 19 Now viewing area. I think we don't have any luck here seeing that plane land. I was really hoping we could see that happen here because anytime we're on the air trying to watch a plane land, it never happens while we're on the air. So right now I'm stalling intentionally to see this thing land at CVG. Because if you're not familiar, this is CVG behind the tree line. Now granted, where we're positioned out on the Turfway Park camera, if you notice, this here is a yellow plane. That's a DHL. So this is kind of the side of all the shipping planes. But you might see in the distance a plane for passenger flight for that. Well, not seeing anything, so we'll just go ahead and move along here, looking at the rest of our cameras, as well as looking at radar. In fact, we'll just jump into radar now since I've stalled as long as I've had. So let's go ahead and begin by looking at our sweeping radar, which is going to show those scattered showers mainly along and south of the Ohio River, even some scattered light activity in southeast Indiana too. And hey, we have got some scattered activity going into portions of southern Highland County into the panhandle of Brown County. We'll begin by looking first in northern Kentucky here. These are areas that have been consistently dealing with some scattered rain. Though it's been light, it's been there nonetheless over towards Claryville, over towards A.J. Jolly Park, there around the lake, over towards Piner. I think it's a little too close to radar for the radar to kind of detect some of that rain, but there's still a few raindrops there towards Piner in southern Kenton County. Over towards Walton and points southward, over towards Warsaw, some scattered light rain towards Hume. If I'm mispronouncing that, let me know. I'm not familiar with that little community. Warsaw, as I mentioned, over towards Cotton Township, Long Run, even Patriot there in Switzerland County, looking at some of those scattered showers still in that area. We'll do now is we'll zoom this out a little bit, and now we'll focus our attention to the other area with some scattered rain towards Mount Orab, towards Williamsburg, Bethel, or Tate Township, Mentor, Moscow, Sardinia, over towards Morristown, New Market, up to Berrysville, where I'm from, Rocky Fork Lake, Marshall, up to Rainsboro, and even towards Jessup, and just to the north of Winchester, some scattered shower activity there. But as you zoom things out, you can see things are a bit drier for areas to our north. In fact, what we'll do now is put it into motion. That way you can see both the cloud cover and the rain. And do note to our northern locations at the top of the screen, you do have a lot of cloud cover. Now, there are some breaks in the clouds here towards the Dayton Metro, up right along I-70, but filtered sunshine at the very most for those folks up that way. A lot of cloud cover, though, for us here in the Fox 19 Now viewing area. And this rain is kind of a dividing line between two air masses. We've got the cooler air mass to our north, and you'll see that on the regional temperature map here in a moment. But where this line is here is where that dividing line is with the colder air. So we're in the 40s, even 30s for areas north of this line. Areas south of this line are seasonable, 50s, 60s, and then eventually 70s the further south you go. But areas that are dealing with this rain right now, temperatures have remained cool because of course, that rain-cooled air. So there's that dividing line I told you about where the rain is. If you saw it on radar, that rain was right in here. And we're still in the 40s, 43 at Cincinnati, 44 up in Pittsburgh, 41 Detroit, 45 Chicago, but south of that line, already 70 in Nashville, 58 St. Louis, 66 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Here across the tri-state area, 39, again, I mentioned the coldest spot has been towards Pendleton County, 42 in Batavia, 46 at the Lunken Airport, 48 in Middletown, Hamilton, and in Lebanon, where things have been a bit drier. In fact, I would not be surprised if they break into the low 50s. Later in the day today, but the Cincinnati metro for at least Hamilton County and in northern Kentucky, probably not going to get out of the 40s today, just because the cloud cover, the rain that's moved through. And taking a look at those winds here this hour, really not an issue. 5 to maybe 10 miles per hour, no reported wind gusts here this morning or this afternoon. And with those rain showers, something we check sometimes when it comes to the rain is a visibility tracker just to see if there's any kind of heavy rain indicators. Not the case, just some low clouds and spots, but we're not talking about any kind of heavy rain that is reducing visibility by any stretch, so really no concerns for that here for today. Now, our high temperature here this afternoon, again, it's going to struggle because of those clouds and those showers. So today we've got that high temperature climbing up to around 49 degrees. Again, cloudy skies, light rain showers on and off through the day. So if you're north of the Ohio River, more dry than wet. In fact, still have the rain gear with you, but you probably won't need to use it for the bulk of the afternoon. But for areas along and south of the Ohio River, it's going to be kind of 50-50 with regards to the rain. So when I say 50-50, I don't like using that term very often, but in this scenario with that line right over northern Kentucky, some areas will be dry, others will be wet. It's going to be on and off through the day with how that line is behaving here for us this afternoon. But eventually things will dry out going into tonight after sunset. But if you are traveling, again, areas north of that line, a bit cooler, 40s, low 50s. Areas south of that line, much milder into the 60s and 70s. Indianapolis, Charleston, even Columbus, Lexington, and us looking at those chances for some showers. Otherwise, cloudy skies here for us for today. And again, we're not talking about any kind of gusty winds, so nothing like yesterday. Winds are tolerable today with gusts maybe at 15 miles per hour. So nothing that's going to be detrimental or impactful for your afternoon. So taking a look at our forecast model here, this model is doing an okay job at tracking some of this rain. No model is perfect by any stretch, but it's at least getting the idea figured out that we are looking at those scattered showers. And what's happening here with these little peppery green dots on this model is I think that's drizzle. It's trying to detect drizzle or light rain. And so that's what's happening here. And do note, we go into this evening, another round of scattered showers do move in. This is before sunset. Of course, sunset is just before 8 o'clock. And what you got here is scattered rain. And one thing I do want to point out, too, I brought this up yesterday, is where you see these areas of dark green, yellow, orange. When they're really close together like this, that's a good indicator for a downpour. I think there is a potential for maybe a very brief downpour. And mind you, any rain that comes in today, cold raindrops. It's just that time of year. But with it being cold raindrops, I say that because when we're in these transitional periods between winter and spring and summer and fall or winter, you end up having, depending on the season, that cold layer above the surface either much higher or much lower. In this case, we're in another air mass for areas along and north of the Ohio River. And that colder air is more dense, so it sinks closer to that line of cloud cover. And again, this is higher up in the atmosphere. And with these showers here, when they're that close together with the green and orange and yellow, that is being triggered by convection or rising air. So it's going to try to develop maybe a rumble of thunder. I say all these things because that cloud cover and moisture is going to lift, hit that colder air that's just above the cloud line, and it's going to create hail. Now granted, not really big hail, small hail, pea-sized hail will be possible here this afternoon and evening, especially for areas along and south of the Ohio River, as this has been a continuing trend with this little cluster of showers and maybe a rumble or two of thunder here this late afternoon and evening after 6, 7 o'clock. And that's something, I mentioned yesterday, but we do have that chance here this evening. Then we go into tonight. Things dry out. They clear out. And then Wednesday, a cold start, and then we got some sunshine. Temperatures will be back in the upper 40s and low 50s during the afternoon. Take a pause real quick, and then we'll take a look at the Reds opening day forecast, which there's a little bit of changes since you've watched us on 19 at noon yesterday. We'll break that down here in just a moment. All right, got a couple of comments here. Caleb says, hi from Adrian, Michigan. Hey, good afternoon to you. Nice to have a viewer all the way up in Michigan. Jess saying, already panicking about Sunday. Any more info on that? No need to panic right now. Yes, we still have a slight risk of severe weather. We'll dive into some of those specifics here in a couple of minutes. But I do want to let you know, Jess, to kind of ease your anxiety a little bit, is that severe threat appears to be conditional right now. And that's kind of how the setup was back, not this past weekend, but the previous weekend. So it's going to be kind of dependent on a lot of different things. And this far out, all the Storm Prediction Center is doing is saying, hey, we've got the ingredients, but whether or not they're going to form together right is to be determined. So they're kind of erring on the side of caution, if you will, for Sunday with that slight risk. And again, we'll break down those details coming up here in just a little bit, Jess. So no need to panic right now. Take a deep breath. We got several days before that event. If the data is more consistent and we keep talking about it, okay, well then we need to start figuring out a plan. But right now, we're just going to monitor the pattern, which the pattern does suggest a chance for stronger storms, but it's conditional. We'll break down, again, those details here in a few minutes. Darla says, hello, Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Are we expecting any severe storms next week? Well, Sunday, again, that's the potential for some stronger storms. We'll break down those details here in just a few minutes. Looking at my Facebook page real quick, trying to check that out here. If I'm on there. Uh-oh. Did my Facebook page not go live? Nope. Okay. Well, we're not live on my Facebook page. Don't know what happened there. Dominique, one last comment here on the Fox 19 Facebook page. It says, hi, Ethan. Are we going to have spring-type temps anytime soon? Yes. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We are looking at some warmer conditions. Lou Jean says, hello from Tollsboro. Is there any more rain tonight? Yeah, some scattered light showers for you folks down in the Lewis County area. Pretty much up until about 9:30, 10 o'clock. After that, things will dry out for the overnight hours. But Eugene, yes, we got scattered hit or miss showers, light showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, cold raindrops, maybe some small hail. That's what we could expect here this afternoon and this evening. And then Wednesday, we are drying out. We are looking at temperatures a couple degrees warmer than today. Now let's focus on opening day, and then we'll get into that Sunday forecast here on 19 at noon. So opening day parade. It's going to be a cold start. Temperatures are going to be in the 30s. And then by the start of the parade, which is at noon, we'll be in the upper 40s to near 50 degrees. By the end of the parade, we'll be in the low to mid 50s, keeping things mostly sunny. Now, with Thursday morning, with it being clear, with it being cold, near freezing, widespread frost is likely. So get the scraper out for your windshield. If you have any plants that are early risers that have come a little bit ahead of schedule, make sure you cover them up or take them indoors if they're sensitive to those cold conditions. You know your plants best, but just giving you that heads up that we are approaching growing season. It's not technically growing season yet per the Department of Agriculture or what's it called? There's a department at the University of Kentucky. Can't remember the name, but either way though, we are approaching that season, so there could be some sensitive plants out there. So just keep that in mind. But we are looking at temperatures getting close to average for opening day. So opening day afternoon, first pitch at 4:10, 56 degrees. Still going to mostly sunny skies, but clouds will thicken up towards the end of the game, and there is a small chance for maybe a sprinkle or passing shower by the very end of the game, just before and after sunset, which is again close to 8 o'clock by this time frame on Thursday. We'll break down that map here right now. So taking a look here, once the computer loads for me. There we are. So here's that line as we had discussed. This line here is that separator between that cooler air mass and mild air mass. So you're going to see this rain come down, and then that air mass is going to eventually lift going into Thursday. So there's that line. It sinks a little bit further south. So Wednesday looking mainly dry during the day, but some clouds do develop with that daytime heating. And then there's that line beginning to lift. And Thursday looks dry during the afternoon. But Thursday evening, as this model is showing, right around near after sunset, so around that 8 o'clock time frame, we could be looking at a few hit or miss showers. Now do note that a lot of this green here is very light, so that's an indicator of just light rain moving in. But then Thursday night into Friday, we are tracking some more widespread showers moving in. And we're not expecting severe weather on Friday. Keep that in mind. Just some scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder for Friday. Just a springtime garden variety shower and thunderstorm for Friday morning. Head into Friday afternoon, drier air works in. Really warm air too, mind you. And then we go into Saturday. Saturday looks dry during the day. But then late Saturday night into Sunday, we are tracking a pretty potent system here that's going to bring in the risk of stronger storms on Sunday for much of the lower Ohio Valley and Mississippi River Valley and even Tennessee Valley. So this is Sunday morning. We've got those showers and thunderstorms with this area of low pressure right here. And this is where we have a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknowns right now as to how this is going to develop. Because there are some ingredients that we need for strong to severe storms. Do we have instability? Yeah, there's some instability in and around the region. Do we have winds just above the surface that are strong enough to maintain storm development? Yes. Do we have a lot of moisture? Also yes. Gulf moisture coming in from the south and west. And are temperatures warm? Yes. So we do have all four ingredients that you would need for the risk of strong storms. However, what makes this conditional is we have rain Sunday morning. How quickly can that atmosphere recover for Sunday afternoon for there to be strong to severe storms? And that in lies the question, and we don't know the answers to that right now. And it's okay as meteorologists for us to say we don't know. That's just being honest. That's being transparent about the fact that this is a system that is going to evolve. It will evolve. But we do know, the ingredients are there for the risk of strong storms. There will be showers and storms in the region. Those are two givens. What we don't know is, will those ingredients form together to give us that severe warned storm? And How will the timing be with this? That's also something that's been a bit fluid right now in the data. So here's Sunday afternoon. So there's that line of that initial rain that comes in Sunday. And a model this far out has a really hard time of being detailed. We don't have details, we don't have specifics. So if you're going to ask for a time frame, can't give you that right now. There's still a lot of question marks. So just right now, the focus is Sunday, risk of storms. That's all we can really tell you right now. But here's Sunday early afternoon. On this particular model, it does have some pockets of drier air working in. How fast will the atmosphere destabilize ahead of round 2, which moves in Sunday evening into Sunday night? And we don't know right now because this is one particular model. Another model has a much different time frame. In fact, it has much different results in comparison to this one. And this model has been a little bullish with not giving us severe thunderstorms. Now, it does have a little bit of spin, but then again, this far out, that can quickly change depending on how things materialize. So right now, the big story is stay tuned. I know some folks hate hearing that, but that's part of life, part of Mother Nature. There's unknowns out there. You have to be comfortable with that. But if you're concerned, if you're anxious, because this is a risk of severe weather on a weekend, right now, just try to find a way to calm yourself. Try to find a way to give yourself assurance that you know what to do if this thing does materialize. Because the best way to combat storm anxiety is to have a plan. Know what to do in the event of a severe warned storm, a tornado warned storm, a flash flood. Knowing what to do in those situations really helps when those anxious storm anxiety situations. But right now, there's a lot of unknowns. In fact, if you want some encouragement, if you don't like thunderstorms, this was much further off to the north and east. Now they've trimmed it back. I would not be surprised if this thing gets trimmed back even further to the south and west as we get closer. But right now, the Storm Prediction Center is erring on the side of caution. I don't disagree with them. They're some of the best meteorologists for storm monitoring in the country, and they do have that risk still for us. But again, we have to keep monitoring it. So right now, we're in the time frame where it's just pattern recognition. All we know is that there's the ingredients, and the timing is Sunday. But when we get closer, we'll be able to let you know more details. In the meantime, just stay tuned. 7-day forecast here, you're going to see that really warm air that moves in on Friday. High is 74. Saturday, 73, mostly cloudy and breezy. Saturday does look dry during the day, but a little gusty out there. And then Sunday, showers, thunderstorms, breezy, a high of 67. And behind those showers and storms, Monday, we take a hit with those temperatures back in the mid-50s. So, because I forgot to post this also on my Facebook page, I can't check the comments there, so we're going to take a look at our Facebook page, Fox 19 Facebook page, for any additional comments. John says, good grief, people, it's only Tuesday, don't freak out already. Well, John, got to have a little empathy here, because some people have gone through, some traumatic experiences with storms. In fact, I'll be transparent with you. Back when I was tracking the Western Kentucky tornado outbreak in 2021, back in December, for weeks, anytime we had a risk of thunderstorms, I had to put a link for storm anxiety because a lot of folks had anxiety from that. And you don't know people's past when it comes to what storms they've experienced, what they've had to go through. So I understand freaking out. I'm not trying to be alarmist with this storm on Sunday, but we need to also give you the facts, give you the information. Yes, there's a risk of storms that could be strong on Sunday, but also trying to give people who are concerned or anxious some relief with that. But John, yeah, the overall premise of your comment, no need to freak out right now. There's still a lot of things that can change leading up to Sunday. So thank you for commenting that. And at this point, it's 5 minutes till 12:30. We got to wrap this up because we got to get ready for Now the Natty coming up at 12:30 with Abby. And we'll have the updated first alert forecast beginning at 3 o'clock here on Fox 19. Of course, the Chief's got you covered beginning at 5 here on Fox 19. And of course, he has that 7:15 weather show where he's going to have more free time to go over some more of the details on this first alert forecast. Might even go beyond the 7-day forecast too, talking about that updated 14-day going into the first week or so of April. Looking forward to seeing that. I tend to watch those from time to time. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here on this Tuesday edition of our 19 at Noon Weather Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We got you covered anytime, anywhere on the Fox 19 First Alert Weather app, fox19.com, and the Fox 19 24/7 Weather streaming channel.